I'm kind of embarrassed to ask this, but how do you say Yui Ball? Is it Yui Ball or is it like?
I've heard Yui. We always called him Uwe.
Uwe.
That would be more in line with the Swedish or German.
Exactly, because the W is usually pronounced as
a V.
Yeah.
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 Hello and welcome to Simply Radio. Today's guest is Neil Every, and he is a screenwriter who started from an internship with the electrical department, and so he should have an interesting look as far as we screenwriters go into the industry. And I'll leave you with him to give himself an introduction. He's written a script. You might have seen the movie, you might not have seen the movie. Go ahead, Neil.
I started out wanting to be a novelist and very quickly realized that I just wasn't cut out for that. And around the same time I was a bit of a geek. I was into, a lot of TV and stuff, and started gravitating towards the film and TV side, and eventually traveled halfway around the world to attend the Vancouver Film School. And then I got out of there in one piece, still wanting to do what I wanted to do, and worked in the camera department. It was camera, not electrical. Mostly on US TV series like X-Files and Outer Limits and things like that. And then while I was doing that, I started working on my own projects, did a few short films along the way, and had my first break through story consulting. I used to read a lot of my friends' scripts, and they said, "You're kind of good at this, you should do more. And did you know that you can actually get paid to do this?" And it was through the story consulting that I got my first produced feature script job. And then a couple of other things led on from that, and then I found myself working with a writing partner and working with Uwe Boll, the infamous Uwe Boll, and it was a really interesting experience, and I still don't really know if it's helped or hindered me having it on my resume, but yeah, and just sort of continuing on from there. I've got the last script produced, just premiered in China. It's a feature animated film, and it'll be probably going straight to DVD, and that's where we're at.
I saw that on IMDb. I was curious to see it. It looked kind of fun. And I'm definitely interested in hearing more about the Uwe Boll experience. And I didn't mention that Don and Pia are our panel for this evening. And so if they want to say hello, go for it.
Hola.
¿Qué pasa? ¿Cómo está?
I think they think tonight is the Spanish episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong language. I'm sorry.
Hey.
I thought this was Guillermo Motoro. I thought this was all about Pan's Labyrinth. I'm sorry. Okay.
So,
this is like an international co-production we've got going on here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely international. And anyway, so let's tell us more about the Uwe Boll stuff up front. And I think that's probably a good place to start. And we can continue on from there.
Yeah, I was working with a writing partner at the time by the name of Christopher Donaldson. We'd known each other for years. We were roommates at the time, and we had a friend of ours was working at a local production company called Bright Light Pictures, which is based in Vancouver. And we found out that they were doing another Blood Rain movie, and we managed to get ourselves in the door to pitch for it because we'd heard that they were doing a vampire western, and we just thought that would be a ton of fun to do. So we went in there with I think it was like a 5-page outline, I suppose. Actually, no, it was I think we did 3 completely different stories. Each was maybe a page and a half, and Uwe liked things in all of them, and so we basically culled the best ideas from all of them. and off we went. It was really that simple. It was probably the easiest job I've ever done.
Really?
It was, yeah. And it was crazy because from that meeting to them rolling camera was about 3 months. So it was almost an unheard of experience.
But let me jump in. And one thing I really don't want to make. I want to make this about you. I don't want this to be about. And I've been pronouncing his name incorrectly the whole time. It's pronounced Uva Bowl.
Uva, doctor. You know.
Uva.
He does have a doctorate.
Well, cool. I got a master's. And I still can't sell a script. But anyway, 3 months. So in other words, you came in when you came in, you pitched, and then in 3 months they started production.
Yep.
Wow. When you came in to do the pitch, I mean, how firm was your story and your script? The question I'm asking is that, where were you at minus 3 months as far as the story and the script, and then what were you doing in those 3 months until production started?
Okay, so we came out of that meeting with basically a 5-page outline, which they signed off on, and that was the point at which contracts were drafted up and stuff, and everyone the lines were drawn in the sand as to what we were doing, how long we had to do the first draft, and at that point we didn't even know for sure when they were going to camera. We knew that it was going to be very soon, and they wanted the script as soon as possible. We knew that they'd pre-sold the movie at Cannes. So before even rolling a foot of film, they were already in the black as far as the dollars went.
Wow. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but in my mind, I'm hearing, is this even really before there was a solid story?
No, we had the outline had a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. We basically pitched it as being, vampires have taken over this town, headed by Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid is the head vampire. And he's holding this gunfighting contest and basically holding this town to ransom. And Blood Rain comes in and saves the day, or tries to, gets her ass kicked, and is forced to leave the town. And she realizes that she can't do it on her own, and she hooks up with Pat Garrett, and they basically form a posse of crazy, over-the-top characters, and then come back to defeat the vampires. That was the original story, and at that point, Kristanna Loken was still going to be playing the lead character, Rain.
Oh, really?
And then we wrote the first draft, and then we found out that she was no longer available, and they were recasting the role. Which I guess didn't really change things that much. There were some things that Kristanna had spoken to us about that she wanted to see, and we tried to incorporate some of those things, and can't even remember if any of those things actually survived.
Wow. That's actually an interesting question, because I'm kind of curious how you felt the movie. Did it stick to your original script, or did it change a real lot?
No. In terms of what we wrote, and what ended up on screen, in the version that's on DVD, there's maybe 2 minutes of screen time that is as we wrote it.
Seriously? Wow. 2
continuous minutes.
Wow.
It's a very odd experience for me watching it now. I try not to watch it, actually. It's, they'll be like, okay, yeah, I remember that character, and okay, that the scene where those 2 characters met didn't actually take place in that location, and that line of dialogue that character said was actually from this other scene and was actually given to another character, and just it's a real mishmash. I mean,
I'm so glad you said that, because what I wanted to say was I actually saw Blood Rain Deliverance, but I was totally mesmerized by Natasha Malthy's boobs the entire time, so I really don't remember the story all that well. But one of these things that you hear, and I really like to hear from you about this, is that, obviously, the script is written, and then, stars sign on, or actors and actresses sign on, and they want changes, because they don't feel their character would do or say this. So my question, and in 2 parts, is, you said that there was 2 contiguous minutes of the script that you had actually written. and then things being reassigned. And the question I have is that, one, how do you work with the input from the actors and the actresses on the changes to the script? And two, when it comes down to final shooting script and those changes, are you a part of that process, or is it the director who's the one who is changing the dialogue amongst actors?
Well, I mean, with this one, we turned in our first draft. They were really, really happy with it. We got some notes. The notes pretty much wanted us to cut all the scenes that advanced the main character. So that was a little challenging, but it's like we were hired to do a job, so we did what we were told and tried to still give the character an arc. It was drastically cut back. There were a number of scenes that I found that both myself and my writing partner felt really grounded the main character emotionally, and it was really sad cutting that stuff, but we were still able to hang on to enough stuff where the character did still arc. And then there was a lot of stuff that was cut basically for budget. The saddest loss there was our posse. Originally when the character went off and recruited her posse to help her defeat the vampires, I think it was 5 people. So with her and Pat Garrett, it ended up being 7 characters come the third act.
Wow.
And that ended up getting cut down to basically, I think it was 2 characters that they ended up recruiting. So it wasn't a posse. It was ridiculous. So we actually, we wrote a line, and I believe it survived the cut. I can't remember. But one of the vampires, when the so-called posse rides into town, one of the vampires says, "What kind of a posse is that?" Because it's like 4 people on a horse.
Well, that's great though. That got worked in.
That was a budgetary thing. And then there were additional rewrites that were requested, and then time, dollars, various things came to a crunch, and they brought in Uwe brought in another writer who did another rewrite and changed a lot of things, and a lot of the that's where all those switches with the dialogue and the plotting got switched around. Part of it was Uwe, part of it was the other writer that came in, part of it was probably the producers, budget things. So we weren't really involved in pre-production. We did 3 drafts, and then the next thing we knew was we did get to visit the set twice, and we saw them doing some of the shooting, and it was just from visiting the set we could tell that there was weirdness going on, that there was a lot of cuts and changes had been made. Natasha actually was really, really she really liked the script that we turned in, and she was like, "Oh, I'm really sad they cut a lot of stuff," and she was struggling with the script that they had to shoot with, but at that point, just get in the can.
Well, that's great. I'm glad you and Natasha got along.
She's fantastic. Yeah,
she's dreamy. The question: why did they invite you to the set? I mean, did they invite you to the set because they needed you to change glad to happy, or was it just kind of a courtesy thing?
Well, we had a relationship with some of the producers at Brightlight, who were basically the service production company for the film. And
so you got invited by the service.
Well, we asked them. We said, "Can we come and visit the set? Because we think it's really awesome. That's something we wrote is actually getting filmed." And they said yes. And we showed up there, and it was a strange experience. I mean, I used to work on sets. So it's very hard for me to go on to any set and not see crew people that I know. So I know that I'm not supposed to stand in front of lights and all those kind of things. I'm very comfortable on a set, so I just tried to stay out of the way. And
most of our listeners, they are some of them are filmmakers, but most of them I think are screenwriters. Okay, and it seems to be the dream is like writing for Hollywood, but the realistic other end of it is independent film. But how about Canada? How about looking for screenwriters to look at Canada instead of Hollywood? I mean, it seems to me that Canada is kind of emerging as a pro-film country.